Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Made by Marymount, the official Marymount Athletics podcast. This is episode 24, and today I am joined by Marymount's newest Atlantic East Conference champions from flag football, Avery DeFazio and Emily Knabel. Today, I sit down with these ladies and we talk about what it was like to play a new sport here at Marymount, and not only to play the sport, but learn it in the span of 3 weeks, and the future of flag football here at Marymount University. With that, let's chat with our new champions. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Made by Marymount, the official Marymount Athletics podcast. This is episode 24, and today I am joined by our newest Atlantic East Conference champions from flag football, Avery DeFazio and Emily Knabel. How are you ladies doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, and I am thrilled to get to talk to you guys today because brand new sport here at Marymount, first ever NCAA and Atlantic East Conference championship just as a whole. And you guys were a part of that, you know, the inaugural team, that Team 1 type of atmosphere. Club sport this year, but it will be a varsity sport next year. So I want to touch on that a little bit. Let's talk about it. So neither of you have played flag football before. What was that like? What drew you in to playing the sport? Because both of you, Avery, you play tennis, and Emily, you play basketball. You know, you had a sport already. What made you want to play another one?
I can go first. So I initially saw the email from athletics. They just sent it out, and in my head I was like, oh, it's a club sport. Oh, that sounds fun. Like, I guess I'll try it out. And then Emily told me that she was going to the meeting, and I was like, oh, I have a ton of homework to do, but write my name down. And I just think it would be fun. We can try it out. And then we kind of showed up, and it was a lot more official than we kind of thought. So that was really fun and exciting, but I think what initially drew me in was just like pure curiosity and just like wanting to have another thing that's fun, a new sports team. That was probably me.
Yeah, for me, a lot of my teammates from basketball were interested in playing. I know a couple of years ago they had tried playing flag football or some just recreational, like within the team, and they were excited to kind of do that again, but in a more official way. I went to the meeting, got to meet all the coaches, and was really kind of blown away by their experience. Like, I didn't really realize that was a big thing in Arlington right now. So I was really excited for the opportunity to try something a little bit different, especially just coming out of basketball season. You know, I'm still doing team lifts. I'm still doing pickup with my team, but it's another way to still be active. And went to practice, like Avery said. We got there, and I was like, oh, okay, this is serious. It's not club. Like, it's club, but it's not club. Like, this is serious. We've got a title to go get. And our athletic director, Jill, did a great job of kind of advertising it to us. And she's like, well, you can go win that conference, and you can be the first Marymount flag football team. Like, that's going to be something that goes down in history. And I was like, I'm all for it.
Right. Who doesn't want to be a part of history? You know what I'm saying? And so you talk about this meeting. That meeting was like, what, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe? And then you guys played on Saturday and won the conference championship. You got a lot done in 3 weeks. Tell me a little bit about what it was like coming into your practice, having to learn basically flag football in itself. I mean, if you watch football, you kind of know like the idea, you know, first down, the whole 9 yards, but it's a little bit different for flag football. You know, you're not tackling, you're pulling somebody's flag. Kind of what was the experience in learning and, you know, and knowing, okay, I really have to pay attention in this practice because I don't have a lot of time here. I have to understand this. What was that experience like?
I think for me, definitely a really rapid learning process. Even I was on the field during the game, and my coach was yelling at me about something, and I was like, I didn't know that was a rule. What do you mean you didn't know that was a rule? Well, I just showed up 3 weeks ago, coach. I don't know all the rules for flag. But our coaches did a really good job of preparing us, and I feel like of the teams that were there, it felt like energy-wise we were the most prepared. The coaches just did a really good job of like hashing things out during practice. And I mean, it's 6:30 in the morning and they're yelling at us to pull flags, and we're trying our best. We just got here. It's a new thing. All of us were just in it together, just trying to figure it out. But I think that the community that the coaches created made it easier to kind of understand everything and work together towards that goal.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I also think that, you know, we showed up for the very first practice and we get our shoes on. And he's like, all right, like line up next to each other, like a yard apart. And he's like, now one person turned around and the other person grabbed their flag, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Like, why am I learning how to pull a flag? But it honestly, like, I didn't know you had to do 2 hands to the white part. Like, I didn't know any of that. And then they're talking about, like, slants and routes and all these things. And, like, we're just, like, we're girls. Like, we don't play football. Like, we're just girls. Yeah.
So exactly. So that's a good point here. So you guys are literally, females playing what is a male dominant sport in that football atmosphere. What was that like, knowing like, hey, I'm kind of a girl boss right now. I'm playing a man sport. Look at me. That's pretty awesome. And, as Emily, you said earlier, you guys made history as the first female team, not only in the Atlantic East, but in the NCAA. You guys made history. What is that like, sitting here knowing that, your name is attached to some very important history here?
I mean, I'm so proud of, like, the team, and everybody, I feel like, just supported one another. There was no pressure of, like, we all wanted to win, obviously, we're all competitive, but there was no pressure of putting other people down, or there was no drama within the team. Like, everybody was here for everybody had each other's backs, and that was something, like, really refreshing to have for just a new sport. Everybody just clicked immediately, which was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the environment was just really upbeat, supporting each other. I mean, at practice, like, I'm screaming out, Avery, you caught the ball. That's fantastic. Like, every single one of my teammates, I'm like, oh my gosh, she just passed. Like, that's fantastic. We didn't know how to do that a week ago.
Everything is an accomplishment, and that's the way you have to look at it. I love it. And so talking about supporting your teammates, you guys had a very special team because you had athletes from different teams. You had basketball players, you had tennis players, you had swimmers. And you had people that have never played in a collegiate sport before. You had softball players. What was that like, being in this completely new group of girls, making new friends, making these new relationships, and also learning a little bit maybe where you see Samantha Bulick, her speed being very successful, whether, you don't always know that right off the bat. So you got to learn a little bit more about players, beyond their traditional sport. What was that kind of like?
I thought it was super cool. I was on the basketball team freshman year, so it was nice to see a bunch of the girls from basketball back on here, but it was really cool, like, defensive wise, basketball girls were really great. Sam had how many interceptions on Saturday, and then the softball players, the arms that they had on them, they just like chucked the ball downfield. I thought that was super cool. So I feel like everybody was kind of athletic in their own way, and we were all able to put it together to make this great team.
Yeah, I think it definitely helped having, like, different skill sets from different sports. Like, I wouldn't assume Peyton So was going to be, like, our best blitzer out there and sack the quarterback every time she was out there. But, like, she's a swimmer. I didn't expect that. And she just went out there and, like, she did her job and she did it well. And I think all of our talents kind of came together collectively from our different disciplines, and we were able to kind of do something really special. Got to
brag on the swimmers there. I'm a little impressed. We're not always so good on the land, so seeing them out there doing their thing on the land, that's pretty awesome. And so, but with an Atlantic East Conference Championship, this is nothing new to you two. This will both be your third one. What's that like? You guys, in your second year here at Marymount, and you got a little bit of time left. What's that like, knowing that you already have 3 underneath your belt so early on?
I don't know if I would look at it that way. I think that we've been really successful, like both of us in the past, just like with our teams. We've had young teams that have been able to build. So that's why, we're all really close, and I feel like we work well together. But I think that, like, each sport, each Atlantic East Conference championship, or each tournament, it's a new opportunity. And I think that we don't think of, we have 3, like, that's guaranteed our 4th. It's not like that. It's more so just taking the opportunity. Everybody knows how important it is, and everybody just wants to win. So, yeah, everybody gives it their all.
Yeah, and I'd say, like, the feeling of winning the championship, like, it's surreal. Mm-hmm. It's not like, I did this last year and we did it this way, or
each year is its own experience.
Yeah, each time is just vastly different. Yeah, you get the shirt. Yeah, you get to hold the trophy. You're taking pictures. Your family's there. But it's just a reflection of how hard you've worked. Mm-hmm. And for flag football, it was getting up for 3 weeks at 6:30, or at the end, it was getting up at like 5:30, 5:45.
Yeah, in the 5s for sure.
In the 5s. And we're getting up and we're like, it's not even bright outside, but we're going to go do this. It's fun, and we have the chance to do something great. So I'm holding that trophy. I'm with my flag teammates, and I'm like, okay, maybe it was worth waking up better.
Maybe it was worth it. So, Avery, we're going to talk a little bit about Saturday with you, because you did some running around on Saturday. So you had a tennis match, 2 tennis, is it 2 tennis matches? Is that the way I word it correctly?
Just one.
Just one,
Yeah.
okay. And then you played on Sunday as well.
Yep.
Right, so you played Saturday morning,
Yeah.
and then you went to Immaculata, played flag football, and then the next day played tennis again. Was that difficult? Or was it actually like, I don't know, were you riding a high on Sunday? Like, what was the emotions? What were those 2 days like for you a little bit?
So, I woke up Saturday. We were supposed to have a match at 12. I was like, okay, great. I think I can get out of there by 2, 3 at the latest. Marywood, they weren't as strong as last year, so it's a conference match, so I knew I couldn't miss it. So it was supposed to start at 12. They didn't show up until 1. So I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, now I can't. I'm going to miss the second game. The second game starts at 6:30. It's a 2.5-hour drive. So I talked with Coach Tim, and he was so, like, he could tell how important it was to me. And he was like, we're going to get you out at 3. You're going to, even though I play number 3 singles, he's like, we're going to put you on first so that way you can get your matches done and you can leave right away. So, I mean, I left right at 3. I finished my match at 3. I hopped in my car, drove back here to campus 30 minutes away, got all my bags, jumped in the car again, drove 2.5 hours to Immaculata, showed up. Everybody was so pumped. They already won 51
Yeah,
against
exactly.
Seminary.
You're like coming in and you're like, way to go, guys.
They're like, this is so fun. Like, you're going to have so much fun. So that was so exciting. And then we started playing, and I mean, yeah, you just get a high. You just get adrenaline pumping through. And so that was so awesome. My family was there. A couple family members that live in Philly got to show up, so that was really cool. And went back home. I think we got home around 1 a.m. Yeah. I got 8 hours of sleep, woke up at 9, left at 10 for a tennis match, went down to McDaniel, and we ended up beating them 9-0. So, I mean,
what
it worked out. Yeah.
What a weekend for you.
She also won her matches on Saturday. Just put that out there.
Quite literally, what a weekend for you. And then, obviously, you won the Atlantic East Elite 20 award, which is phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're able to balance, athletics and being an athlete. Not only now you were a dual sport athlete, still are. What was that like? And for both of you, Emily, very skilled. You won the Elite 20 award for basketball, so that's nothing new to either of you in that sense. What is it like having to balance athletics and academics, but being skilled extremely in both areas?
I was just going to say, like, we have the same GPA, so we both should have gotten that award. But anyway.
Thank you.
But anyway, I just think, like, time management is probably the biggest thing. I mean, it's not that difficult to show up to class, to go back home, when you have time, do your homework. Like, it's very easy to fit everything in. It's just like the mental strength to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where some people struggle. But I think that the teachers are very gracious when I say I have to miss for games or matches. They allow me like extension but it's not as difficult as it may seem, I think. I think just showing up, just being a student allows you to have those good grades, I guess.
Yeah, I think in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the season, like, it's a lot to try to balance, but I think we're both pretty good at making a list of things to do, looking at our time, our availability, and, we're roommates, so we're kind of holding each other accountable in that way as well. I think having a great support system, whether that's with, like, a roommate, a friend, or even, like, our coaches, we've got academic meetings, at least for basketball we do, not for flag, but I'm sure that'll come.
With time.
Yeah, but having that support system makes it easier to accomplish everything for sure. And again, it's just, you've got to have the mental toughness to show up. Mm-hmm. Show up to your sport, show up to your classes, get the work done on time, know what you're going to have coming up, and get stuff done ahead of time.
Yeah, writing stuff down, and what she said, like, just planning ahead of time, having that list of this is what I have to do, that makes sure that, when you have an hour here, instead of doing something else or laying in your bed napping or whatever, it's like, I have an hour to get this done. Mm-hmm. And if I don't, then it's not going to get done. So I liked having the schedule.
Yeah, my dad always tells me, like, you have to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that's a really good way to look at being a student athlete, because you're going to be exhausted, you're going to be tired, you're not going to want to do anything. That doesn't really matter, though, because you still have assignments to do, you still have tests to study for, you still have exams coming up. And especially right now, with you still in season, you're nearing the end, exams are starting in a couple of weeks, grind's still going, like, you still have to work. And so flag was a club sport this year, but next year it will be a varsity sport here at Marymount. What's the future looking like for Marymount flag football?
bright.
That's what I was going to say. She took the words right out of my
Good, I
mouth.
like that answer.
I think we're just excited to see like what else we can do with more time.
Oh, yeah.
3 weeks and we won the conference championship.
Exactly. What are you going to do with the whole season?
The whole season, they got to watch. The Atlantic East needs to
Watch
watch
your
out
back.
because our coaches know what they're doing. They're talking about recruiting already. They know girls from the area, obviously, from coaching here. I think they even said like we're gonna have tryouts next year. So even I'm like, oh gosh, I got to start working on my flag a little bit.
Championship, but maybe I need to practice.
Yeah. So I think honestly, I think we're gonna be a powerhouse. It's just shaking out to be that way.
No, I totally agree. I also think Jill has done a great job of getting so much excitement around the sport. And I mean, she didn't have much time to prepare either. So for us to have jerseys and gloves and media day, that was so exciting, and
Right.
it was so cool. It got us excited about it. I think that's what honestly pushed us to, we can win this thing. Like, we have all these people that have our backs. Like, it was just really cool of her to support us so much.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, there was a little amount of time, and you guys were able to almost have like her in a really short amount of time, like her traditional athletic experience in that nature. Like, you were able to have a championship. Unfortunately, you guys weren't able to have like games before the championship, in that sense, but you're able to have your championship, able to have your media day, and able to have gear, which is silly to say, but sometimes that makes it, feel official. That makes it feel real. I think that, Avery, you made a good point. That's what makes you competitive. That's what makes you excited.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think we're totally the best dressed, most put together team on the field.
Marymount is always the best dressed.
We showed up to practice on the first day in our sneakers, and people are slipping left and right because of the turf. And he's like, "You need cleats," and we're all like, "It's 3 weeks. Like, do we really need to get cleats?" And every person showed up to the conference championship in cleats.
No slipping today.
No slipping.
No, even having our plays on our armbands, our coaches put those together for us. Some of the teams that were there didn't have plays. They just kind of went with it. From my understanding, I could be wrong, but they just kind of did their own thing. And, we've got our quarterback, Kara, running over to Coach Creed, and she's running back over to us. Okay, we're running a 5. Ella, I want you running this route. And we're all like, okay. But we were definitely prepared.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Whatever you say goes. All right. Well, what was your favorite? Obviously, winning the championship, so that doesn't count in this situation. What was your favorite part in the last 3 weeks about flag?
I would say just meeting new people, having those new relationships. I mean, when we showed up and the coaches are these dads and and these male figures that are very intense, and we were like, oh, this is fun, and then all of a sudden he's got the hammer down, but it was really cool to have that relationship, knowing that they have our backs. They're trying to, construct us into these great players, and they're very encouraging, but very constructive. But yeah, just meeting all new girls, you said, from all these different teams, having these new relationships, I think was really valuable to me.
Yeah, I'd say something along the same lines. I think, being recruited as a freshman for basketball, you're kind of thrown into the existing family, and you make your little spot and you meet the girls and you develop those relationships. But here it was starting from the base. We built that family culture in a matter of 3 weeks. And, these are athletes who, I've seen around campus. I hang out with. 2 of them are my roommates or my other roommates. And, building that culture in a matter of 3 weeks, making those friendships. I'm pretty sure every single girl's posted on Instagram, and I've been tagged in there, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, the posts are making me emotional. It's we made history, and it's as a female, and watching female sports grow, that's a big thing here. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna start crying. It makes me so excited. I remember Sheila coming home and having her shirt on, and I just felt like a proud mom. I felt like a proud mom. I was like, oh, look at my little kid go. She's literally older than me, but definitely an experience that I will not forget, having watched. I was literally sitting in the press box at Capital One Park, and you guys were playing, and I'm pulling up the live stream, and I remember saying to Jacob, you guys, I think at this point we're up 40-0. I was like, Jacob, oh my God. And Jacob's like, we're going to steamroll. And I was like, you're right. You do that first game 51-0. And I'm like, for a minute there, I was kind of worried, just because you go in, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what these other teams are putting up. And then all of a sudden you guys win 50-0. I'm like, okay, I really don't know why I was worried, apparently. But I had a blast, watching your championship and then hearing about this season. And I'm super excited to see what next year brings. I think you guys are super talented. And Emily, like you said, you guys only had 3 weeks. I'm scared. I'm like excited, scared to see what you guys can do in a bit, like a full season. I think that that's really exciting. So I want to thank you ladies for joining me today. I had a pleasure talking to you and getting to know a little bit more about Flag. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.